Well, hello Foundry community. I'm excited to be back and giving you guys an update about the 0.7.6 release of Forien's quest log. Major quality of life improvement. So we're going to go through some of those things in this video today. First, my name is Michael Leahy. I go by TyphonJS on the various Foundry Discord servers. And I actually started my own Discord server if you want to get in touch. And you can see that link over to the left. It'll also be available down below in the description of this video. Now, before we get started, I do want to, highlight some of the content producers that have made some awesome content that I'm using in this video. Ivan Dooch, tabletop RPG music, James's RPG art, which is the cool backgrounds that we see, Epic Quest for some of the animated battle maps, and Forgotten Adventures. I'm using a couple tokens from them. So that their description, check the description below for those content creators links. So let's just talk about what is in this new release. Again, a major quality of life release. Now, if you're a GM and you have the FQL quests directory shown, you can actually now click on the journal entries and they'll open up the quest details page. That also allows you to drag over any of the journal entries, or directly in the quest log itself, you can drag a quest onto the canvas and it'll create a note now. And these notes will open up the actual quest details page. So it's very handy. You can let your players come across quests on various maps now. Quest tracker improvements. You can now click on the details, or the objectives in the quest tracker and the quest floating log, and you'll be able to manipulate the objectives. So it's a very handy way of not having to open up the quest details page to manipulate individual objectives when your party or your group achieves a particular goal. Now, one of the really cool things, I was able to put back in source code editing, which is something maybe if you've used the TinyMCE editor for editing the description, you might have noticed the source code editing button disappeared. But now it's back because I was able to integrate something called DOM Purify, or there were security issues where your players or people could write in scripts and have them execute on a different machine. But I got that fixed now, so the source code editing is back. And you can also now do content entity linking in the objectives and the abstract rewards. So that's some very handy functionality that we'll take a look at. And the final section I'm going to talk about is TinyMCE. So there's a lot of new options for creating very attractive and interesting content for your players. There's 5 new fonts, 2 kind of sci-fi and 3 kind of more fantasy or medieval oriented. You can now, with the source code editing, you can actually click a button and get the CSS selector for the background of the description. So if you know a little bit about CSS, and we'll cover some of the really cool things that you can do, you can actually write your own styles and really customize the FQL quest details page. And we'll take a look at also, I actually created a new TinyMCE plugin for embedding video files, and it's really cool because it works from this thing called oEmbed, and YouTube and Vimeo is supported presently, but it really allows you, the cool thing about it, it's much simpler than the stock media plugin, and it allows you to see the styles as you apply them in the interactive editing mode. And so the final thing really is just a bunch of styles that you can apply to your elements without knowing CSS. And so there's all sorts of blending modes, border adjustments, drop shadow, floating items left or right, fonts. You have neon fonts, and you can adjust line height, adjust margin and opacity as well. So let's just dive in. I'm excited. This is definitely a great quality of life update. Let's go. The first thing that we're going to look at is that now there's much better integration with Foundry. When you click on a journal entry, or you can see over here in the right-hand directory for journal entries, if you're the GM, and you're showing the FQL quest directory, you can actually now just click on any of the quests, and they'll open up the actual quest details page. So previously, it was just opening up an empty journal entry, but now you'll be able to open up the quest details page. One nice thing that this allows is that now you can actually drag over a journal entry directly from this journal entry page here onto the canvas, and you'll be able to create a note, and from the note you can open up the actual quest details page. So likewise, you can open up the quest log, and you can drag a quest from the actual quest log itself, and also create a note that your players can uncover and find on Canvas, the actual in the game maps basically. So when you double click on this, you'll be able to open up the quest details page directly from the note. The next quality of life improvement involves the quest tracker and the quest floating log. You can now click on the objectives in the quest tracker and have them actually toggle their state, and you can see it toggles both in the quest floating log and the quest tracker. So you don't have to open up the actual quest details page to go over here and toggle the different objectives. You can control them directly in the actual quest tracker on the screen itself here. So that's definitely handy optimization for Forien's quest log. A very handy improvement to the quest details page is that you can now do entity content linking in the objectives and also down in the abstract rewards. So the best way to actually go about doing this is to copy a link. So I'm going to open up the items here. Or more so, drag and drop a link. I'll just do Alchemist Fire. Drag and drop the link into the description page, because you have to, Control X to cut. Because you can't copy paste directly into the objectives. When the focus is lost, it'll save the item. So you can see it comes in hidden, but we now can do entity content linking in the objectives again. And the reason why this was taken out is that it was a security issue. You could actually, the old FQL, a mischievous user could write in a script and it would run on anybody's computer. But I worked out a way to do purification. As you can see, no script ran when that was inputted, and in fact it just doesn't display. Now the great thing too is that you can do entity content linking down here in the abstract rewards. So I know there was a question on the main Foundry Discord server about how can I link a quest? Like, what if a reward, an abstract reward led to another quest? So the way to do that again is just to open up the editor over here so that you can drag in a quest. So we'll do, this one. That way you can just cut it, Control X, and we can go down here and add abstract rewards, and your next quest. And you can see here, we're able to link it, and players will be able to click open the follow-on quest as an abstract reward. The final major quality of life improvement to Forien's quest log in this release is the a big overhaul of the TinyMCE editor to add many more options. There are 5 fonts added that allow you to just choose a more attractive text that you can enter. And actually, it has been updated to also include the default Foundry fonts, which are Signica and let's see, where is it? Modesto condensed. But the other Google fonts added. There's 3 kind of fantasy ones. So I'll just do it pretty big here. Of course, if you do bold, you'll get. We switch to the next one. That was Alamendra. This one. Medieval Sharp. And there's 2 kind of sci-fi looking ones as well. Audio wide. Let's make that a little bigger. And the final one is Nova Square. I really wanted to provide a fantastic editing experience with TinyMCE, with the quests. So I actually created a custom TinyMCE plugin to do media embeds from YouTube and Vimeo. The really nice thing about this is that it's a single pane UI. And let me pull up the find it. There we go. You can select a YouTube link, or here, copy video at current time. Go back to Foundry, drop it in, and it automatically selects the media poster and generates the frame embed. And you can drop it in, and you can see the actual poster image assigned to the video. This is going to come into play when we look at the style editing that was added with this release of Forien's quest log. Now, I do want to kind of just show why I created this plugin real quick. It's, let's see here. Let me open. Oh, yes. So this is my little test page here when I developed the plugin. And this is the new plugin. So you can see when you drop it in, everything gets saved, and you get this really nice poster image automatically assigned. This is the default TinyMCE media plugin. And it's got a bunch of extra stuff. You can drop in the source. Even if you went over to this advanced tab and set a poster image, that doesn't work for YouTube and Vimeo embeds. So you can see, like, you get this like blank kind of window here. And the importance, we're going to take a look at this very soon here, but if you apply styles, like I'm applying like a drop shadow and the border radius, you can see here with the actual poster image, you can see the styles being applied, exactly how it's going to look in the final result. But if the stock TinyMCE plugin, if you start applying styles, it just doesn't look right. You know, it's really confusing. You can't get a feel for what it's actually going to look like. And so this custom TinyMCE plugin definitely is much better than the stock experience. So I'm definitely glad to get that into Forien's quest log. I next want to dive into a more advanced capability of the new Forien's quest log. and that's to talk about the source code editor and what it allows you to do in terms of adding custom styles. So the button is batted back into the toolbar here, and you'll notice there's two options actually. You can actually copy the background style selector, and that will give you the style selector for this entire background area so that you don't have to create it yourself. So we can just hit copy. We can go into the source code editor. We can just hit paste, Control V. And this inside this style selector, and you do have to know a little bit about, CSS and whatnot, but you can go over to this, like say this gradient background creator. And I'm just gonna copy the gradient code and go back over here and just drop it in. Hit save. You do have to hit Control S or save again, but you can see we can actually style the entire background. And we can do a lot of like fancy things with this. For instance, you could use keyframe animation. So let me open up the quest log over here. And I do, we can discuss blending modes as well. So there's some keyframe animation on the background that's moving the background position here. And you can kind of see we have like a fade in and out. So if we go look at the source code here, we apply a keyframe animation, and you want to copy the quest ID here and apply that to anything so that it only works with the current tab or the current quest. But if you know CSS, you can do quite attractive things. Oh yeah, gosh, there's a fair amount to look at with this example. You can see over here on the right hand side, we have this like overlay of images and like a leaf image that's applied to the window, but it's blended into the background. That's a fairly advanced example. I will add a lot of this stuff into the wiki that you're going to want to check out. We're not really going to be able to dive into the full aspects of the source code. So you can actually use the pseudo-elements. So this is actually applying to the window content, and we're using the before pseudo-element and the screen mixed blend mode and a filter, a grayscale filter, to blend that leaf texture into the window itself. Because you have access to the source code editor here, you can do all sorts of interesting style manipulations. And again, I'll include some of this stuff in the wiki because it's too complex to kind of go over here in this actual video. But you can include this style tag right at the beginning. Now, we are going to go take a look at, there's several style elements added. You'll see the style section down here. And you got a whole bunch, like if you're familiar with Photoshop, you have instant access to all sorts of different, the blending modes, setting a border radius, a couple filters for blur, drop shadow, and grayscale, to be able to float images left and right. We'll take a look at that in a moment. Fonts, you can like adjust the line height. And you have this option to actually create neon fonts. Looks pretty cool. We'll take a look at that in just a moment. Setting margins if you need to add a little extra spacers between your images, and opacity if you need to actually create kind of a transparent image. Let's look at the blending modes here. This is actually pretty cool. So I dropped in an image, and you can see it's got like a black background. And this is just one of the stock D&D icons. And, we don't, it's not the greatest thing to have this black background here. So, like, we go over to blending modes. And I believe screen will provide so we select screen. Unfortunately, it doesn't show it, like the blending modes don't show, so you do have to hit Control Save. But you can see how it basically blends it into the background. And a couple other ones that would be pretty good for an image like that would be, I think, color dodge. So you can actually see here with that animated background, color dodge if it's not the background color, it applies the color from the image. So you can kind of see how it stays. It matches when that it slides over right now. It kind of assumes the background color, and then it doesn't when it's blue. But yeah, there's all sorts of different options here. And I suppose like the next one we can take a look at is floating things left and right, which is really handy if you want to add. So we'll hit float left, and now we can actually put in text over here on the right-hand side of the image. And sometimes sometimes it's a little finicky. It's a little finicky. So I did get it fixed. What it was is that sometimes with TinyMCE, it actually started putting the text over here on the left-hand side of the image, but you need it over here on the right of the image. So now we're going to be able to have spaces correctly. And sometimes it doesn't save the font. It is a little annoying. You know, you just have to go back in and select the font that you want again. And it should save it now. So yeah, you're able to float images left and right. Let's get some neon text in here, actually. Let's take a look at that. So I'm going to select the audio wide text. I'm going to select 22, 28, maybe 28. If you go down to the styles, fonts, neon, we'll select purple. It looks kind of cool. We'll also center the text here. Yeah, it's just an option. You know, might work for more of a sci-fi type environment. But let's drop in a centered video here. So let me go back up over to the video. I'll grab this one from Vimeo. And we're now going to like apply border radius 16. You can actually see it, the border radius with the poster image. And we're going to apply a drop shadow. So over to filters, drop shadow. Let's just select 2 pixels. And you can kind of see it creates like a very nice, oh boy. It's coming through my speakers, but it just creates a very nice presentation. And you can do the drop shadow with images. So if I go back over here and I hit edit, and we drop in an image. So plus sign, image. I'm going to select something from the D&D 5e game system. Icons, skills. I'll just select, actually I kind of like this skill all the way at the end. Now we can apply, again, all sorts of different things. The border radius, drop shadows. Now you only can apply one filter at a time. So, you know, here's like a blur. So you can kind of see it blurred. But having these style effects just instantly selectable, it's really nice in the sense that, you know, you don't have to know the CSS to apply all sorts of different options. Now, an example of margin would be, let's see here. If I wanted to apply a little bit more margin top between the text up above, you can see how it will have a little bit extra space there. So you can also get rid of the border that is around the image by default. You can just do no border. If you save it here, there's not that one little pix border. Oh yeah, line height. Let's just take a look at that real quick. So we're going to select, let's see, let's get this medieval sharp. Let's get it a little bit larger. Now let's even get a little bit larger than that. We'll go to 32. We'll make it a different font or color, which is over here. Suppose we make it yellow. Now you can actually apply styles. So we can go in here and hit filters, drop shadow on the actual text itself. So you can see we can add a drop shadow to the text. We can make it look really cool. And it also makes it stand out a little bit more as well. But I mean, you just go over here and play with the different styles. There's many different options. It's nice because it just allows you to create a very attractive display for your users or players. And yeah, just check it out. I'll have more information in the wiki to really get in and explain all what's going on here with this new styles menu. You can do some very attractive stuff. I do want to note a very important concern when you're adding custom styles to the background. Because we're adding the styles in the source code editor here, it actually is part of the TinyMCE editing system. So if you happen to save the styles here and you have the cursor all the way at the top here, if you hit backspace, unfortunately, you just deleted your background styles. So if you hit save, you can see they're gone. And if you go into the source code editor, it's just gone. So if you're going to create custom background styles, make sure to always save it in a separate file. That way, you know, you're always going to have a backup just in case they get removed. In the future, I hope to create like a what you see is what you get editor for the background options for the CSS. And you know, to also be able to apply it across all the different quest detail pages. That would be super cool, but that's going to be in a future release. Right now, we do have to work within these constraints of adding the custom styles to the TinyMCE editor itself. So you're just going to want to always be careful that you don't hit backspace all the way at the top here. So what if you want to, like, you have a left-hand column image though, and you want to kind of set a margin? The easiest way to do it, and you could do it again in custom styles by setting to the paragraph tag a margin, but there's an easy way of doing it with the style options in the editor itself, but it's slightly tricky in the sense that we can have a bunch of text here, our really cool text that we want to have a margin right on because of the left-hand column image. So the trick here is that before you apply any sort of styling, like the image, or I mean, sorry, the text font or whatever, you want to select your text, go down to styles, margin, left. In this case, 50 or 75. We'll do 75. We'll move it all over the entire paragraph. Now you can apply your text style. And, you know, so we'll change it to Nova squared and just a little bit bigger. So if we save this, we have our text, you know, justified slightly to the right with a 75 pix margin so that it doesn't overlap the image that we have here over on the left. Here's what happens though, and I'm just going to go select all this. We're going to get rid of our stylings. That's what this button does right here, clears formatting. So you could see if we apply our text first, our text styling first, and then go to the margin, it'll only do, it's a little strange. I'll set it for 50 this time. It only indents the first line. So you're always going to want to, have some text. You're going to want to set the margin first. That will move it all over. Then apply any sort of text styling that you want. And you can apply more styles too. So like you'll see here, we'll do the Nova squared. We'll make it 22. And now we want to like make it neon. Unfortunately, the order of operations does matter. And oops, I hit. So yeah, you're going to want to apply the margin first and then any other styling if you have a left-hand image over here. Now I'd like to look at one more example. It's a fairly complex example of custom CSS styling. And that is having a background gradient, but we're actually using the after pseudo-element to layer two images over the top and then also apply like a blending mode to those images. So you can see here, if I make this window larger, we've got that texture of the leaves on the right and this other curled vine on the bottom, and they're blending. So you can see it blends through the actual text. Can you find the hut? And so let's go take a look at that because it's fairly complex. Again, I'll include this in the wiki eventually. But as far as what you need to actually do, it's tricky because you have to set position relative, and then you have the after element where you can select the images that you want to overlay on top. And then you have to also set a z-index. It took me a little while to kind of figure this out. So, but it's very cool. It kind of shows some of the really attractive things that you can do with setting custom CSS styles. Well, that pretty much like wraps things up. I hope you found this video informative and find these new quality of life features really, really make your campaign great. Happy questing!